Hello dear students. In this video, we will see introduction to statistics and various tendencies, various central tendencies of statistics. See, here we have a data prepared by a student. Ganesh had recorded the marks of 26 students in his class in the mathematics test. Here we have name of the student and marks against the name. This type of data is called raw data. By looking at this data, we cannot get any main features of this data. We cannot find simply by looking at this what is the maximum value, what is the minimum value, what is the most frequent value, what is the middle value of this data. We are unable to find here. Such type of data is called raw data. See here, a question is asked, is the given data, is the data given in the list above organized? Is this data organized? Why or why not? This data is not organized. From this data, we are unable to find the features of the data such as maximum value, minimum value, middle value, or popular value. We are unable to find any feature from this data immediately looking at this data. So this is not an organized data, it is a raw data. Here the student Ganesh made the following table to understand the performance of his class. Is the data given in the above table grouped or ungrouped? This type of data is called grouped data. This type of data is called grouped data. So here, instead of actual observations, we have groups. These groups are called classes or class intervals. Here we have 4 groups. These groups might have been taken with a definite purpose. So here, against each group, the number of children obtaining some marks within this group is written here. So the actual marks are not taken here, only the group is taken here. So here 0 to 39, we are getting 4 occurrences. The actual value of the marks is missing here. So here we are losing some information. In grouped data, we lose some information. By looking at this data, we can immediately find out that most of the students got marks between 51 to 75. Here 10 students got marks between 51 to 75. In this way, by looking at an organized data, we can find the main features of the data. In 9th class, we have seen the difference between grouped data and ungrouped data. In ungrouped data, we use original observations. In grouped data, we are using only classes. The original observations are not used here. So in ungrouped data, information is not missing, but in grouped data, we are losing some information of the data. We have various central tendencies. The various central tendencies of the data are mean, median, and mode. Mean, median, and mode can be found for ungrouped data and also for grouped data. Now, how do we find mean of ungrouped data? Suppose the observations of the ungrouped data are x1, x2, etc. xn. We can represent an observation as xi. I varies from 1 to n, and the corresponding frequencies as f1, f2, etc. fn. We can use fi to indicate all these frequencies. I varies from 1 to n. The sum of the values of all observations in ungrouped data, here we are using only the frequencies. So the sum of the values of all the observations can be obtained by taking the products of frequency and the observation, value of the observation and the frequency of that observation, f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus etc. fn xn. So this is sum of fi xi. This is the sum of the values of all the observations, and the number of observations can be obtained by taking the sum of the frequencies. So mean for ungrouped data can be written as x bar is equal to sum of fi xi by sum of fi. So here the mean x bar is equal to f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus etc. plus fn xn by f1 plus f2 plus etc. plus fn. This can be in short written as x bar is equal to sigma of fi xi by sigma of fi. So here this Greek letter sigma, this Greek letter sigma is used for summation of the observations. Here the Greek letter sigma is used for summation. Here we have an example. The marks obtained in mathematics by 30 students of class 10th of a certain school are given in table below. Find the mean of the marks obtained by the students. Marks obtained xi are given here, and number of students fi is given here. This is the observation xi and this is the frequency fi. Now let us find the mean of the marks obtained by the students. In order to find the mean of the observations, we need fi xi column, as mean can be obtained by taking sigma fi xi by sigma fi. To make the calculations precise, we can simply use one more column, one more row or column taking fi xi values. So working with columns is easy as we are taking summations at the end. So here in the solution, the columns are given instead of rows. Marks obtained xi, the observations are written here. The number of students, this is frequency fi are written here. Now we want to find x bar, we need summation of fi xi by summation of fi. So we are taking here column fi xi. f1 is 1, x1 is 10. So 1 into 10 is 10. 1 into 20 is 20. 3 into 36 is 108. In this way, fi xi are calculated, and at the bottom the summation of fi xi and summation of fi are taken. Here sigma fi xi we obtained 1779 and sigma fi as 30. So the mean x bar is equal to sigma fi xi by sigma fi is equal to 1779 by 30, that is 59.3. We have obtained the mean as 59.3. Therefore, the mean marks are 59.3. Here we have taken the actual observations here. We have not considered any groups. This data is a small data, so using the actual marks obtained, that is actual observations, is easy here. But in real life situations, this may not be possible. The data may be very large. So instead of using this type of ungrouped data, this is ungrouped data. Instead of this ungrouped data, we use grouped data. In most of our real life situations, data is so large that to make a meaningful study, it needs to be condensed as grouped data. Now let us see how to find mean of a grouped data. Here we are converting the ungrouped data above into a grouped data. To convert ungrouped data into grouped data, we need to form class intervals. Say here the width of the class interval is 15. Let's just check what is the minimum value. Minimum value is 10 here and maximum value is 95. So the range here is maximum value minus minimum value, we get 85. So here if we take the width of the class interval as 15, the range is 85. So we can form 6 groups. If we form 6 groups, 6 into 15 we get 90. So 85 can be included under 90. Here the groups or classes formed are 10 to 25, 25 to 40, 40 to 55, 50 to 70, 70 to 85 and 85 to 100. These are the groups formed. These groups are called classes or class intervals. In a class interval, let us take 10 to 25. The minimum value is called lower limit and the maximum value is called upper limit. The classes taken here are 10 to 25, then 25 to 40. Here 25 is repeated in this interval and in this interval. Here 25 is repeated in 10 to 25 interval and also in 25 to 40 interval. These type of class intervals are called exclusive intervals. These type of class intervals are called exclusive class intervals. If the class intervals are inclusive class intervals, we need to take boundaries and make them exclusive class intervals. As these class intervals are already exclusive class intervals, we can use the word boundary for these class intervals also. So in exclusive class intervals, if we have any value equal to upper class boundary, then that will be considered in the next class. Here, suppose a student got 40 marks, that will be considered in 40 to 55 class interval, but not in 25 to 40 class interval. In ungrouped data, we find mean of the data x bar as sigma fi xi by sigma fi. In ungrouped data, we have observations xi's, x1, x2, etc., xn. We have these values in ungrouped data, but we do not have these values in grouped data. As we do not have the actual observations in grouped data, we need to assume a value for every class interval. It is assumed that the frequency of each class interval is centered around its midpoint. So we find midpoint of each class to represent the entire class interval. Such midpoint is called class mark. So we take the class mark as the average of upper class limit and lower class limit. So class mark is equal to upper class limit plus lower class limit by 2. For the class 10 to 25, the class mark is 10 plus 25 by 2. This becomes 35 by 2, that is 17.5. So 17.5 is class mark of class interval 10 to 25. For all the class intervals, we use class marks to represent those classes. Once we take the class marks, we can use the same formula to find the mean of ungrouped data, to find the mean of grouped data. So here the class intervals are taken, the frequencies are here. Using the class intervals, we have found class marks here. Class marks are considered as xi values. Using this xi value and this frequency, we find fi xi. Just like in ungrouped data, in grouped data also, the mean value is equal to sigma of fi xi by sigma of fi. Here xi are class marks. In ungrouped data, xi are original observations, but in grouped data, xi's are class marks. So here we obtained the sigma of fi xi as 1860, and sigma fi is same as in ungrouped data, that is 30. Here in grouped data, sigma fi xi is 1860. This is in grouped data. In our ungrouped data, in our ungrouped data, in ungrouped data, we obtained sigma fi xi as 1779. So there is some difference in sigma fi xi. There is some difference in sigma fi xi. This is because we are simply assuming the observations as the midpoint here instead of the original values of the observations. See here in this class 10 to 25, there are two observations. The values of two observations are actually 10 and 20. If you look at ungrouped data, here we have marks obtained 10 for one student and 20 for one student. While taking groups under class interval 10 to 25, we use these two marks obtained 10 and 20. So the frequency against this class interval is 2. As we are losing this information in grouped data, we are assuming that the value of the observation is 17.5. Here in our grouped data, instead of taking the original values 10 and 20, we are assuming 17.5 and 17.5. As we are approximating the observations, we are getting a different value for sigma fi xi here. Now using this value of sigma fi xi, when we calculate the mean x bar, we are getting value 62. Calculating the mean of grouped data using this formula, x bar is equal to sigma fi xi by sigma fi is called direct method. We observe that in the above cases we are using same data and employing the same formula for calculating the mean, but the result obtained are different. In example 1, this is ungrouped data. 59.3 is the exact mean. 59.3 is the exact mean, and 62 is the approximate mean. 62 we got here in grouped data. This is an approximation. Can you think why this is so? As we have already explained, this is because we are losing some information in grouped data. Instead of taking the actual observations while calculating the mean, we are considering the midpoint as the value of observation for each class. Now let us look at think and discuss. The mean value can be calculated from both ungrouped and grouped data. Which one do you think is more accurate and why? Mean value obtained from ungrouped data is accurate. Why is it accurate? Because in ungrouped data we are taking the actual observations, but in grouped data we are taking midpoint of the class interval but not the actual observation. The second point is when it is more convenient to use grouped data for analysis. Though we are getting approximate mean, we use grouped data for analysis for certain data because the data is very large. Using ungrouped data for large data is very difficult and time consuming, so we go for grouped data for analysis. In grouped data also, sometimes the numerical values of x1 and f1 are large. Then finding the product of xi and fi, then finding the product of x1 f1 becomes tedious and time consuming. We get large values of this product. We have to take the sum of large numbers and later we have to divide large number, so that becomes a tedious process. So instead of using direct method, we can employ a shortcut method. Such a shortcut method is called deviation method or assumed mean method. In this deviation method or assumed mean method, we don't change these FIs, but we can change xi to a smaller number so that the calculations become easy. So how do we do this? We use an assumed mean, subtract assumed mean from the xi value. How do we do this? We take a fixed number and we subtract that fixed number from each of the xi's. That fixed value is assumed mean. We denote it by a. So in our shortcut method, deviation method, the first step is to choose one among the xi's as the assumed mean. Which one should be taken as assumed mean. To reduce our calculation work, we have to take assumed mean A that should be very much nearer to the actual mean. So let us look at this group data table. We have intervals here and the class mark we are getting here. Against each class mark, we have frequencies for 17.52, for 32.5, 3, for 47.5 it is 7. So here we have totally 6 class marks. We can take the center one as our assumed mean. We can take the center one as our assumed mean. The center ones are 47.5 and 62.5. We may take 47.5 or 62.5 as assumed mean. While taking assumed mean, we can study the frequencies also so that we can come to a conclusion that which value will be useful for us. So in this data, let us assume 47.5 as our assumed mean. So when we take A as 47.5, our second step is to find deviation. Deviation of A from each of the xi's. We denote that deviation as di. So di is equal to xi minus a. Here xi minus 47.5. So we take a separate column for deviations. Di is equal to xi minus 47.5. So here A is equal to 47.5. Now we take deviation for each class mark. So here the deviation is 17.5 minus 47.5. This is minus 30. Here the deviation is 32.5 minus 47.5. So it is minus 15. Here the deviation is 0. And here we get positive deviations. After taking the deviations, we find Fi di. We write another column for Fi di and find out values for Fi di. Then finally, we take the summation of Fi di. Here we got value of Fi di as 435. Using summation of Fi di and summation of Fi, we find mean of the deviations. Mean of the deviations is denoted by d bar. Here d bar is equal to sigma Fi di by sigma Fi. So here sum of all deviations by number of the deviations. So we get mean of the deviations. Using that mean of deviations, we have to find mean of the observations. So we have to find the relation between d bar and x bar. So here mean of the deviations d bar is equal to sigma Fi di by sigma Fi. But this deviation di can be written as di is equal to xi minus a, where a is assumed mean. So d bar becomes sigma of fi into xi minus a divided by sigma of fi. Now here sigma of fi into xi minus a can be written as sigma of fi xi minus sigma of fi into a divided by sigma of fi. Now taking the denominator for each term, we get sigma of fi xi by sigma of fi minus sigma of fi a by sigma fi. As a is constant in every term of fi a, we can take a as common. By taking a as common and writing this as x bar, this is formula for x bar. X bar is equal to sigma fi xi by sigma fi. So this can be written as d bar is equal to x bar minus a into sigma fi by sigma fi. Sigma fi and sigma fi is 1. So d bar is equal to x bar minus a. From this we can take x bar as a plus d bar. Therefore x bar becomes x bar is equal to a plus sigma fi di by sigma fi. So in deviation method, x bar is equal to a, that is assumed mean, plus sigma fi di by sigma fi. So in the table, after choosing assumed mean, we find deviations, and we use another column for fi di. We take summation fi di and summation fi and use the formula x bar is equal to a plus sigma fi di by sigma fi. Using this formula, x bar is equal to 47.5, this is assumed mean, plus 435, this is sigma fi di by 30, this is sigma fi. 435 by 30 is 14.5. So 47.5 plus 14.5, we are getting 62. In direct method also we got the same answer. In direct method also we got the value of mean as 62, and here using assumed mean method also we are getting the same value. So what we have discussed till now is called assumed mean method or deviation method. Sometimes the deviations are also large numbers. Then to reduce the calculation, we may employ another shortcut method. Now let us observe here. In this column 4, in deviations, the deviations are minus 30, minus 15, 0, 15, 30, and 45. All these are multiples of 15. We obtained this 15 from the size of class interval. The size of class interval is 15 here. As the size of class interval is 15, the difference between midpoints is also 15. 17.5 is midpoint of this class interval, 32.5 is midpoint of this class interval, so that the difference between these two class marks is 15. For any two class marks, the difference is a multiple of 15. Because of this, we are getting the deviations as multiples of 15. So here, as these numbers are large numbers, FIDI values are also large. By dividing these deviations by 15, we can get a smaller number. Thereby, the calculations become simpler. We can apply that method also. If we divide all the values of column 4 by 15, we would get smaller numbers, which we then multiply with Fi. Here the class size is 15 for each class interval. So we are getting 15 there as multiple for each deviation. So we use Ui is equal to xi minus a, that is deviation, by h, where h is the class size here. We can take h as class size or any other number which divides the deviations. Now we calculate u for each interval and proceed as before. So here we can see how do we find mean of u. Deviations we are getting di is equal to xi minus a. Previously we assumed 47.5 as our assumed mean. Taking the same assumed mean, here we are getting the deviations as minus 30, minus 15, 0, 15, 30 and 45. Dividing the deviation by h value, here we have taken h value as 15. 15 is the size of the class interval here. So by dividing the deviation minus 30 by 15, we get minus 2. By dividing minus 15 by 15, we get minus 1. In this way, we are getting 0, 1, 2, 3 as values of ui's. After getting values of ui's, we calculate fi ui, writing this in a separate column. Here ui is minus 2 and f is 2. Minus 2 into 2 is minus 4. And here ui is minus 1, fi is 3. Minus 1 into 3 is minus 3. In this way, fi ui's are calculated and sum of the fi ui is taken here. Sigma fi ui is equal to 29 we obtained here. Now we can calculate the mean of u's, that is u bar is equal to sigma fi ui by sigma fi. Here sigma fi ui is total of all ui's, the number of observations. Now let us find the relation between u bar and x bar. So we are taking ui's using this formula. Ui is equal to deviation by h. Deviation is xi minus a by h. We have obtained mean of u, that is u bar, is equal to sigma fi ui by sigma fi. Now substituting ui value here, we get u bar is equal to sigma of fi into xi minus a by h. As h is a constant value in the denominator, we can take it separately. 1 by h into, I am writing it here, u bar is equal to 1 by h into sigma fi into xi minus a by sigma fi. Now u bar is equal to 1 by h into sigma fi xi minus sigma fi a by sigma fi. This becomes 1 by h into, here we have sigma fi xi by sigma fi minus sigma fi. A can be taken as common, so a is written here by sigma fi. Sigma fi can be cancelled. We get a here, and this is x bar. So we are getting u bar is equal to 1 by h into x bar minus a, or hu bar is equal to x bar minus a. From this we get x bar as a plus h u bar. So x bar is equal to a plus sigma fi ui by sigma fi into h. In our problem, x bar is equal to a is 47.5 plus h here is 15 into 29 by 30. Here we got the summation FIUI as 29. Sigma Fi is 30 here. So x bar is equal to 47.5 plus 15 into 29 by 30. 15 into 29 by 30, we are getting 14.5. 15 can be cancelled in this way. So 29 by 2 is 14.5. 47.5 plus 14.5 is 62. So in this method also we obtained the mean as 62. In direct method we obtained 62. In assumed mean method we obtained the mean as 62, and in this method also we obtained the mean as 62. The method we have discussed is called step deviation method. Instead of taking the deviation directly, we are dividing the deviation by a common factor of the deviations. So this deviation method is called step deviation method. Now let us see, think and discuss. Is the result obtained by all the three methods same? Yes, the result obtained by all the three methods, direct method, deviation method or assumed mean method, and the third method, step deviation method, is same. Second question, if xi, fi are sufficiently small, then which method is an appropriate choice? If xi, fi are sufficiently small, direct method is our choice. The appropriate choice is direct method. Third question, if xi, fi are numerically large numbers, then which method is appropriate to use? Step deviation method is appropriate when xi, fi are numerically large numbers. If there is no common factor for the deviations, there will not be any other go. We can go for deviation method or assumed mean method. Thank you. See you in next video.